Recording in progress.
Is it though?
Yes. Well,
Okay.
according to the machine.
Bring me everyone.
What do you mean, everyone?
Welcome to Everyone Racers, a show designed for the world of low-dollar racing and oddball car culture. It doesn't matter what kind of Lemmy Champ or Lucky Track Dog league you run, SCCA or NASA, we won't discriminate as long as you drive it hard and build it yourself. Join us each week for tech discussions, tips, tricks, as well as news and notes from the world of amateur endurance racing. Whether it's on the spot, hella sweet, or we're lucky enough and I give you just the tip, we are sure you'll giggle a little and learn even less. Everyone report to the paddock.
This is Chris.
This is Chrissy.
And I'm mental.
Yay!
And we are Everyone Racers. Thanks for joining us for a Poncho V8 edition of our show. It's episode 326. And in 1963, Pontiac dropped the Buick division built 215 cubic inch aluminum V8 it had offered in the Tempest and replaced it with a small bore version of the standard 389 Pontiac V8. In 1964, when the new A-body intermediates came out, there was a new corporate GM engine size limitation to anything less than 330 cubic inches, and so the 326 bore size is reduced, giving a true 326.06 cubic inch engine. The 326 subsequently became the optional V8 engine for Tempest, later used in the Firebird through 67 and maintained the 17-degree cylinder head valve angle for its entire production run.
This is so
Cool.
much.
Yeah.
But it's good so much.
Yeah.
I've learned
We
something.
learned something. I had no idea there was a 326 cubic inch Pontiac engine.
I did
did
know.
not
If I'm not mistaken, that was the first thing available in the very first GTO. I'm sure one of the listeners will correct me.
I'm sure they're going to say, you are very dumb. That is not true.
Or they might say, yeah, you're right, but you're still very dumb.
Okay.
You know what's not dumb? Well, actually, it's pretty dumb too. Yeah. So
What?
it's
What's
the
not
UNR
dumb?
bingo card,
Oh, yeah. Yes.
which
2024.
well, yeah, it's still the old version. We'll get, yeah, it hasn't arrived in showrooms yet. We're gonna work on it.
It's coming soon. It's
Coming
coming soon.
Yes.
It is. We could say that we're working on it. So
That is an excellent
what
segue.
else
Are we?
you working on?
Oh my. Okay. Mental. You got some fun things to do.
Sure. We did the last Cars und Cafe here in Las Vegas for 2023. I took my borrowed 911, went up there, had a great time. We did.
How long is that borrowed for?
It goes back in 3 weeks.
Okay. I wasn't sure what the end date was.
Neither was I when I got it, but yeah. So again, if you're looking for a great deal on a 57,000 mile Porsche 993, let me know. But yeah, it's going back. The 21st, I'll be swapping it when I do the University of Vera at Button Willow, giving it back to the owner. So I took it to the last Cars und Cafe here in Las Vegas, downtown Las Vegas, the last Sunday of every month. We did a New Year's Eve episode of Bid Nerds where we went through the best and worst of the year. I actually posted that. I think some people joined in and watched. Vicky and I went and did our standard New Year's Eve celebration on Fremont Street where, wait for it, Color Me Bad performed live. Chrissy's making the I have no idea who that is face. It was an acapella style band that was famous for being on the soundtrack to New Jack City. And they were from Oklahoma City. I remember for a while, one of them was working at a car wash because they I wouldn't call them one hit wonders, but they were like one and a fraction hit wonders. Also, Blackstreet performed as well. And so did Third Eye Blind.
Okay. I heard of those.
Yes. So, but and I say to anyone that comes to Fremont Street or comes to Las Vegas, you should go to Fremont Street because it is wonderful for your own personal self-esteem. You will feel better about who you are by the time you walk one end of Fremont Street to the other. And then we did a New Year's Day drive. It's a variation of all, when I would ride motorcycles on the regular. So we all got out, we drove it to the Pioneer Saloon in Good Springs, Nevada, which is the oldest continuously operating saloon, not always licensed here in Nevada, but they also have really good burgers. And it's just a nice little relaxing, get out of the city, desert drive. And today I was back at work. Ugh.
So are we.
Oh,
But
Yeah.
it sounds like you had an eventful weekend, which is fun.
Yes. So how about you guys? I'm seeing like lots of stuff that you guys actually got things done. I've been shuffling stuff around in my garage, embarrassingly, and trying to like declutter my existence, which I've been actively working on. I realized that the welder I bought last year at SEMA, actually 2 years ago, 2022 at SEMA, haven't even hooked it up. So I was getting all that cleaned up and put together so I can start actually getting things done. So I've made like 4 runs to the thrift shop for donation so far.
That's good. Your decluttering is good.
mhm.
All right. Chris has been
Totally.
actually working on cars. Hello.
Oh, it's just been working on the Porsche more, and which involved mostly redoing axles, which have a different kind of CV joint in these Porsche axles than I'm used to with the Hondas. But that's okay. Figured it out. Cleaned as much of the old grease as I could out of the old axles, and re-lubed it with new grease and new boots, and it all worked. Amazing. Went got those back in the car. I only had to take off several large pieces to get them back in the car because I'd nicely put it all back together. So I just need to put in these axles. And guess what? The axles don't fit with everything else in the way. So
Oh,
out comes the bits of
It's
the mid
very
pipes and the
German.
exhaust.
You must do it in the auto.
But it's true. But I actually have gotten, I understand how these cars have, come apart now. So it's like, well, that's not too hard. I can take that off. And I did and got whatever. It's all back together and that's fine. Which is great. I did a rough alignment because I found out my Hakomoto hub stands do not fit the Boxster because it uses 14 millimeter lug bolts instead of the 12 millimeter ones that everyone else uses. So doesn't fit. So, okay. That means I
Womp,
had to,
womp.
I put the car down. I have to load up the suspension in order, even just to torque the control arm bolts. You want to do that with the suspension loaded, because if you torque them with the suspension unloaded, then you've indexed the bushings in that spot, and they're always going to be sitting twisted. So they should be done. That's why you do it loaded, so that in its normal state of driving, there's no twisting force on the bushings. So in order to be able to get under the car and do this, and to do the alignment, which again, the car needs to be loaded, I built up some little like cribbing out of random scraps of 2x4s and plywood I had around the garage, just enough to get the car up about 6 inches in the air so I could sneak under it and do some of the
Timmy.
things. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
very pleasant. In the
Learn
end,
from
I
our
got,
mistakes. That's why we're
yeah, well, I just don't have hub stands that fit it. If I had hub stands, it would all be so easy. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm so spoiled by having them.
here.
But it's back together. The alignment is close as I could reasonably get it. It's going to actually go to a proper alignment shop. The good alignment shop here couldn't get me in until January 18th. So that is my current appointment with them. The car drives fine. I just know I'm shredding the rear tires that are not quite in spec right now by driving it. But I drive it. I did. Drove it around, bedded the brakes in, made sure everything worked, and it all worked wonderfully. It's so much quieter now without that wheel bearing that was going and the squeak in the front end and the shimmy in the brakes, and all those things are gone. So it's much more, it
Can't-
does no longer smells like coolant and fogs up the interior
So
immediately.
great.
Right?
All of these things that are like
Yeah.
normal car things that,
Right.
yeah.
I even did a lot of little
Luxury.
things too, and I made sure to clean everything up properly, and I used the Honda special weather stripping grease to clean and lubricate all the weather stripping in the whole car, which is a lot. That prevents it from tearing. And weather stripping is expensive and usually gets to be hard to find in older cars. So all
Mental
that
looks
stuff.
perplexed. Did you
Mental's
not?
like, I don't understand this concept.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's good to go. Just alignment and done. Yeah, I probably need to drive it a little bit more to make sure the emissions monitors are going to be ready to pass when it goes to the shop for alignment, and they'll do inspection too.
Oh,
So,
good. Just get it
yep.
all done.
Yeah, get it all done. If they're going to have it up in the
Lovely.
air and poking around at it, they can just do the inspection too.
Make it happen.
Exactly.
Then we can drive it. Yay.
And Chrissy and I drove a lot. We went up to Massachusetts this weekend and came back. I didn't work on anything doing that though. Just worked
No,
on
that
putting
was, we
mileage on
did
the
what,
Mercedes.
800 miles in, no, more than that.
It was more like 900 in 2
900
days.
in 2 days. So
But in the
it was a
Mercedes, it
lot.
doesn't never feel that much.
No. And we do the drive so much that it's just what we do.
Yep.
Yep, we did that. And then we had a lazy, quiet New Year's and New Year's Day. So it was great.
Outstanding.
nearly as
Did you do the good luck thing where you eat pork and black-eyed peas to bring good fortune?
So my family is superstitious, and they're usually crazy bent on having pork. My mom didn't like pork because my grandmom didn't make pork well. So they had chicken and ham instead of pork yesterday. So, or yesterday, I'm sorry, New
So
Year's.
ham is pork.
Oh, sure. But like, no, they usually have like chops, like old
overcooked to the point of being brake pads. Yeah.
chops. So
Yeah.
yes, I had ham and potatoes. Like, so
All right.
not in the traditional sense of pork. Yes, you are correct. I apologize.
I actually swung by the grocery store on New Year's Eve and got a pork butt and some black-eyed peas to cook in the rice cooker. I feel Kurt would have been proud of me because I actually looked up a rub recipe.
Oh, good for
and
you.
Did a proper pork butt and got it all and set it in the oven and let it, slow cook for a while. It turned out pretty good. But as I was getting ready to start cooking it, I got a text from former guest Jeff Hanka, the Salty Thunder guy. He ends up down here a lot as a pilot. And he was like, hey, so I ended up meeting up with him and we went and got some Mexican food where I still ate pork. I had,
That's good.
So this week I'm going to be eating, pork butt for lunch.
So
That's what I've been
much
taking.
pork
Butt and black-eyed peas, but
I had intended to, but I got on the bandwagon too late and tried to go find some on New Year's Eve, and it was all gone. So
you don't realize how many people buy into that superstition until you're trying to buy it like at the last minute, and it's
much
totally gone.
Why don't you have this? And I was, of course, because I'm buying it on New Year's Eve, and I was all ready to cook it, and then I couldn't. Okay, so I told you what I did, but I was gifted a little race car, and is a little race car. And that's not anything special because there's probably 50 cars in my living room for when my nephews come over right over there that we don't play with. And my mom has another 75. My sister just got a pack of 50. So race cars are not a thing. But this was gifted to me because it sings a song that my mom was like, this is a song that Chrissy would sing. And so I brought it home and Chris is like, why do we have this? So listen to this.
Speedy race car, I like racing. Let's win the race. Let's be a star. I'm Riley. I'm a restless race car.
That is so great. Oh, your mom's right.
I know. Oh, I hope you could hear that. I think that
we could hear it.
Okay, good. Because this. Oh,
you push the windshield and you get the other one.
Sure.
That's what I yell. Go faster.
That's gonna be great. Next time I'm gonna be sitting on the grid. Let's go racing.
I'm a fun race car driver. Let's go. So my mom was running around like, where's that little black race car? And everybody's like they're just picking up cars because there's cars everywhere. And then this is the one she was looking for. So thanks, Mom, for thinking of me and singing the songs that I sing. I'm a race car driver. Anyway.
That's awesome.
It is awesome. Okay. News and Okay, Jim Motivelli at AutoWeek has the latest on why the new Tesla charging system and its certification under the SAE International. Why now, after years of insisting they keep their proprietary design? Well, like most things, it's money. Specifically, $7.5 billion in federal grants from the National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure, the NEVI program. SAE International, formerly the Society of Automotive Engineers, announced that the standard engineering and development parameters to allow developers to build on the many critical aspects of deployment and commercialization of the NACS connector. The it's NSCA, no,
Sorry, I
NACS,
misspelled
that's
it. Yeah.
NACS, the North American Charging Standard, and finally opened it up to other OEMs last year. But with the standard decided on, the construction of more EV stations can now begin. Now, if they only do the same for phone chargers.
Yes.
Yes.
Your standard clickbait websites, whenever you open up your browser, are releasing all of their coverage of laws in effect for 2024. But a non-clickbait summary from local Las Vegas News 13 has coverage on Nevada Senate Bill 422, which outlines the rules for food delivery robots. Or now, the language of the legislation defines the robots as autonomous, semi-autonomous, or even remote control. Each robot must weigh less than 150 pounds, empty, and are limited to a top speed of 10 miles an hour. And perhaps a lesson from the autonomous taxis in the Bay Area, or just to avoid lawsuits, each robot must carry liability insurance and will need to be marked with a unique identifying number. Most interesting is they are prohibited from carrying, quote, hazardous materials.
Good plan. Good plan.
Which I feel like eliminates some of the spicy food around here. And they are specifically banned from transporting a person. Now, there is no word on who will be charged when one of the drunk party going tourists rides one down the strip, either the rider or the company. But you can expect us to cover it when it happens. And I just have a vision of a sheriff standing next to one of these autonomous robots, going, "Can I see your insurance and registration, please?" And the robot going, "Why, officer? What was I doing?" So
Someone will ride it 0.2 seconds after it's what is
Oh,
released.
it might be me. I mean, sober, because I just want to do it. So I mean, 150 pounds and 10 miles an hour. Is this like a little oven that just drives down the road and like says, "Okay, I need to go to your house"? And how does it know that I'm going there? And like,
well, they're not out yet. It's just setting some rules around.
I mean, they need the rules, I obviously, but I'm just picturing this is the world we're headed into. Yes.
Or they've got to be able to get into the elevator. "Can you please press 17 for me?"
Yeah.
Yep.
Or if they don't let it in that far and they just leave it on the front stoop and then say, "I've delivered it to your front door," and that's enough.
Yeah. There you go.
Notice they're not trying this in Philly because it would end up in pieces.
I mean,
and broken very soon.
Come on, Nevada.
Like the last robot that was around.
Like the robot. Or
There's that robot that was kind of going around the country.
There was the Pope bot, and then there's like the Eagles guy. And yes, I think we had both, and I think we trashed both.
Yeah, parts in an alley. That's all that was left. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, like, is Nevada that much better?
Well, they at least don't destroy their robots immediately. Maybe a little later.
Well,
They're probably going to steal it for parts.
Throw snowballs at Santa. Anyway,
we do it once. One guy.
Hey, are either of you guys fans of Judge Phil?
Heck yeah.
Right? I like both Phil and the actual person behind the Judge Phil character. They're both good. Anyway, most people are also fans. Now, some folks may not know about his actual journalist cred. He's been writing about cars since starting as a catalog copywriter to Year One back in 1995. He's also a contributor for Jalopnik in 2007, and of course, Auto Week and all kinds of things. Current publications also include Motor Authority, Truth About Cars, Autoblog, even Car and Driver. He's published a book, which we've read, but last month he made the jump to Hagerty with his newest series, Final Parking Space. Quote, Murilee has loved going to junkyards since he got his first hoopty car, a $50 Toyota Crown sedan, or Corona sedan, excuse me, and he enjoys speculating on the lives led by junkyard vehicles and their owners. I
love doing that.
Yep, absolutely.
It's my favorite.
Phil considers himself a bit of an automotive historian this way by documenting these unique vehicles in the junkyard, and I agree. So now I know we enjoy this as many of you do too. So take a look. This new series started December 19th. So far has covered a 1963 Chrysler Newport, an 85 Volvo 244, and an 88 Plymouth Horizon America. It is
I
fun
love
going through the paperwork in junkyard
going
cars.
like receipts and
Yes.
like court orders and
Yeah.
you know, sticky change and what they ate last and you know, like what oh, it's my favorite.
I found that
It's-
one from that one guy's resume for trying to get a job at IKEA.
Oh,
It was in-
absolutely. Yeah, it was
With
in
the
the
giving
next
with the
cord.
court order. With
Yeah.
the,
it was in the next car over. Chris is pulling his spot and I was like, this is boring. Let me just go through this other car. And yeah, whatever's on the floor in the next car over is my favorite.
Yes.
And I start making up
truly, truly
stories
cool.
about it. Like,
Yes.
I'm so judgy by the things that are in your floor well of after you've crashed a car.
Or you
Some
know,
of them
or
are boring.
it
Some
just
of them are-
died, you know, or yeah, you know, what led you to this lowly place?
Yes, that you're now in a junkyard.
Gosh, it's been
Okay.
too long since I've been in a junkyard to play that
I
game.
know. I know. Most of the cars we need parts for aren't in junkyards anymore.
The Mazda is, but I haven't needed any junkyard parts.
Don't say that
Yeah,
out
so
loud.
Chrissy.
it's coming.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, all right. So on that note, as I try to shuffle all the windows I have open on my one single screen, we're going to talk about racing junk. We always talk about racing junk, and normally we dig up some cool car, something like that. But on this one, they sent out an email and is the you didn't get what you wanted sale, and they've got 10% off in their store. And here is their store right here. They've got metal signs and stickers, Racing Junk and Super B and the ducks for it's a Jeep thing and whatever, you know, gearhead stuff you're into. And these are actually like not terribly overpriced. You get like a whole pack of stuff, especially if you're a Jeep person, and they got pages of that one. They've got shirts. If you got to get a gift for somebody, here's some of the shirts they have. If you've got an old classic car or just the various dang old Camaro, Mopar, whatever that kind of stuff is. And they've even got just all of these the hoodies and warm stuff and garage clothes and everything you could possibly want. You should check out it over at Racing Junk. It's really not even that expensive. Like here's a Hot Rod Delinquents t-shirt. It's 24 bucks. You can't find shirts that cheap for $24.
Well, plus you get 10% off, right?
This is all I'm saying. So you're like,
Yeah.
it's less than 20 bucks for just do yourself a favor, head over to
Math
Racing
is not
Junk,
your
get
strong
yourself-
point.
No, it isn't at all. Get yourself a cool, cheap, fun shirt that you don't feel too bad about when you inevitably get grease all over it, because that's what we all do as gearheads. And while you're there, use that pod 23 code, get yourself that pro membership for cheap. Start your 2024 by doing some joy scrolling over
So
at
somebody
racingjunk.com.
try Pod 24 and see if it works.
Ooh, that's a good question. Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
it's now
maybe it's Pod
2024.
Well,
I don't know that that's a thing. Just saying.
Yeah. And if it doesn't work, let us know. We'll I'll email our guy and we'll still get you that discounted pro
We should
membership.
probably do that.
Yep.
Upcoming races. No, there are none until February, but we do have some race results. So there was a Champ Car race at Sebring this weekend. 2 days of racing over New Year's Eve. Saturday was team sailing in Ketchup Boxster on top. Second went to Pinkies Out in their 2146 Bavarian Missile. Not sure what it was. They were only 2 minutes behind on the same lap. That's exciting. And third went to Danger Racing Group in a Lexus SC. Sunday was a pretty exciting race. Sunday went to Pinkies Out and Whiskey Tango Foxtrot in a Miata was on the same lap, 2 minutes back. The 3 cars behind them were only 1 lap back, and they were all on the same lap. And then the 3 cars behind them were all on the same lap, only 1 lap back. So whole lot of cars all at the top, all in pretty good contention for some win for that weekend. So
Yeah, and we had a
fun.
lot of friends down there. Dr. Florida
We
Man
did.
was running with Betty White. Matt was there.
Brandon was there from Amanda's racing team.
Oh, fantastic.
And-
The Fat Crack running their Honda. They were doing
Mhm.
pretty well. Yeah.
Yep, a friend that I met when I was racing with the Fishers. It's his home track, so he was there. So yeah, a lot of people there.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, all right.
Okay.
Congrats to all them. Good way to finish out your year.
Listen,
On YouTube, Tim B rewrote our summary, and he did it better.
Yeah, he
So,
did.
Yeah,
And I took it and copied it into the.
Oh, did you?
Yep.
That's funny.
Yeah, he said, in this episode, Chris lubes his axles and blows his nose. Chrissy's Roomba works, but her library staff doesn't. Rental schedules out missed deadlines, and Jeff skips the show to work in his garage and not finish the RX-7. I mean, perfect. Thank you, Tim. Thank you.
Now it was
Oh,
our
that's good.
goals episode, and so posted up there some folks, and Tyler said that he wants to get his flight instruction done and get his car to at least one race with a good theme, which is a proper order. Make the car last and then start working on your theme.
So from the Book of Faces, also on our goals list episode, Albert W said that his biggest goal for 2024 is to run the Race Rambler in the Big Bend open road race in Texas. I also need to get started on some of my streetcar projects, so I'll be getting one out of storage in 2024 and getting it started. Just have to decide on which one.
And Eric K gave us a quite a extensive list of his goals, and included things like continuing not getting sick in the car, winning another HMG, getting his daughters on track, attending a DE, and maybe even a Lemons Rally.
All right. Now, it's not so much a listener feedback, but we do have a listener that has got a really bad idea for a rotary powered classic car Why You Ruined Classic. So if there's any rotary experts that listen to the show, the only ones I remember property devaluation out of Texas, and I haven't seen those guys in years. So if you're a roto head, get a hold of us on one of our social medias. And put you in contact with my buddy out in San Diego and walk him through an ill-advised swap into an otherwise boring car that he wants to make interesting. And also, while we were on there, if you are coming to Las Vegas for the Consumer Electronics Showcase, which is a huge show, it's like SEMA, but it's for gadgets, let us know. I posted that today. I posted our New Year's Eve photos, and Fred S., one of our listeners, said, I'll be out there next week. We should do a Lemons get together because there'll be Lemons people coming. And he's right. This is a great idea. So maybe we just all get together at a bar or restaurant, or we go do something gearhead related, or we all go-kart racing. I don't know. Let us know if you're coming into town. We'll figure out what night, what to do, and we will have a Lemons takeover of something here in Las Vegas, and it'll be a good time. And speaking of people that should get together and do wonderful things, I don't really ever completely consider it Christmas until I get cookies. Now, unfortunately, the U.S. Postal Service was a little bit late. They came a couple days after Christmas, but bam, if you're watching this on YouTube, there is my Chrissy's mom's cookies.
We shipped them late because she had COVID. Because you remember, I think I said that we didn't do it the weekend we were supposed to because she was sick.
Okay. No, there it is.
So we moved them to the next weekend. So I said, who cares if they get them a couple of days after Christmas? Were they edible? That's my only question.
So good. Edible. They lasted technically they lasted a whole day because
good.
I started on the night and refused to eat cookies for dinner, and then finished them all off before lunch the next day. Good. So good. Thank you very much, Chrissy's mom.
You're welcome.
Happy New Year.
How about sisters who made a lot of them? See all of those?
I'm sorry. And your sisters as well. Thank you.
I put all of those little dots on that Christmas tree. Actually.
Sweet. Awesomeness.
Mental, you're an adult. You can choose as a sometimes food to have cookies and tequila for dinner.
Yes.
It's a sometimes food though. So
it is.
I mean, it could be an all the time food for you. You could do that too. It's just that's ill-advised. So
yes, I feel like that's yeah. I'm asking for problems with that one. So
just a little.
But
I mean, we're not going to judge too much.
Yeah.
No, not at all.
Yes. And in situations where you shouldn't have tequila and cookies as your exclusive form of
lunch
food intake.
Yes.
Relates to our main topic.
It's true. We're talking about road trips.
Okay.
We just did this with the Boxster, and we said road trips are fun. Let's talk about road trips. There's a lot that can go into road trip planning or not. There's some people that just say, get in the car and go that way. Okay. That's fine too. That's a different kind of adventure. We're going to talk a little bit more about some potential plans, and you can decide if you want to do any of these, or if you want to make a well-informed bad decision, and I know these are choices, I'm just not going to do them. And that's fine. We love well-informed bad decisions around here. So we've got a bunch of little things to talk about to see how we can help make your next road trip better. So starting off, you got to know your general route. Like where are you going to and from in general? What's the direction of it? How long is that? And how much time do you have to do it? That's step one. You can't really do anything else without that.
Yes.
And I think to elaborate on that, and then Mental can go on his question here. Time you have to do it and time you should allow for additional I mean, time frame is one thing if you have 6 days to do it. But you probably shouldn't plan for full 6 days because you never know what's going to happen when you're on the road.
And I feel like it gets exhausting, oh, I've got exactly 4 days. I will plan 4 days. And after a while, you're just tired of just being on a schedule on that, so maybe build in some flexibility. When we drove out here from Las Vegas, from Georgia, Vicky was very apprehensive about the prospect of being trapped in an RV with me and 3 dogs for the better part of 5 days. And I did ease her fears by actually building a plan. So she knew she's not a road trip person. She knew that there would be a break at this point. There would be a break for lunch. There would be breaks when we stopped for where we would stop for the night, and we weren't going to be in the car for 12 hours, which is a bit of a contrast. So when I was younger, it was always, how fast can I get there? And it didn't matter where I was going. And, you jump out of the car and you put the gas pump in, and you start fueling immediately while you run inside and go to the bathroom, grab your drinks, then come back out, and then you're done, pump up the gas, wipe off the windshield, jump in the car and go. And while that was entertaining in my 20s, I missed a lot of like great things and sights just by trying to always, maximize the time. And then the flip side of that is trying to see everything on a route. And after a while, you're like, eventually we're just going to need to make some progress and do this. So there's like this sweet spot, and it's going to change depending on what it is you're doing. So I would say the first question you have to ask is, what is your purpose? And I'm going to throw him under the bus just because we were talking just a few minutes ago. Florida man Donnie knew he was going to do the Alaska Rally, and he was going to do it in a car that he had bought. So he had to leave Florida and drive to Alaska. And that was about as far as he planned it out. But he knew he needed to get there, and he knew he had a deadline. And when the car started giving him problems, he literally had to look at his watch and go, okay, now's the time for me to dump this at a repair shop, rent a car, and make my goal, which is be at this place by this time. So understanding you have a main purpose. And I put that in there, and it doesn't mean you can't add some adventure, but you've got to know what your number one goal is. And are you doing a lemon style, babe style rally? Are you just trying to get to your cabin that you're building in the middle of nowhere? Are you bringing a new car home? Are you helping somebody else bring a car home, moving, towing, hauling something? What is it you're trying to do? And know what the absolute number one point of that is.
Yeah.
So.
Goals are key. And along that, what else do you want to see or do along the way? Sometimes, Mental, the trip is a bonsai run, like you were talking about. I need to go from here to here. I do not want to see anything. I don't care about anything. I just need to eat
or I don't have
miles.
time to.
Yes.
That's also a thing.
All the above.
Right.
And in that case, you go into that kind of mode if the wheels are, basically it's like running an endurance race. If the wheels are not turning, there's a problem. So do anything you can to keep the wheels turning. That's how you go. It's sitting down for those hour, Cracker Barrel lunches and stuff that really all of a sudden slows everything way down in the whole trip. So, but sometimes that might just be exactly what you want. You just want to sit there in the Cracker Barrel on the rocking chair in the front and have a lemonade. Okay. If that's what you want to do, that's your goal.
And
then
have
fine,
time
but
to
just make
do
sure
that.
it fits. Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
I have found that when I have to do those bonsai runs now, and usually I've got to be at a lemons race and I couldn't get off work. And so, in fact, both times I was at High Plains this year, it was get in car, drive. Hopefully I can make it before we do our tech inspection so that, or our BS inspection, so I can be a part of the team. But I make notes of, All right, on the way back, I'm going to stop there. I'm going to wait because I'm usually not as in a hurry on the way home. And then also when I just drove to Sonoma, the drive back was a lot more relaxed and less hectic than getting there.
Good. So once you've got those basics in mind, spend some time with Google Maps. It's a great thing to do while you're at work because it won't trip any of the filters for anything. Google Maps, no problem. Do what you want. And it's a nice way to spend like 5 minutes taking a little mental break from whatever it is that you were working on to try something different. And map all the things. Look around. See what comes up. You never know what someone has highlighted somewhere that will come up a show on the map. Try different routes and segments. Like, all right, how is it going to take me to get from point A to point B? What if I go no highways? What if I go to this stop along the way? How much longer is that going to take me? Is this possible? And if you break it up into chunks, you can see how the pieces will start to fit together in your day. Yes.
You on our last trip found roads. We said, okay, we're going to go highway for a long time and then see this squiggly road that goes like this, squiggles and backs and switchbacks and circles. Let's take that road. So we had time and we built in that time knowing that we were going to leave early and we had this much time. We had, a couple 100 miles on the highway, but when we're getting off and getting closer to our destination, let's take this fun road. So it does. So it's not even just which highway will get me to the place. It can be, parallel roads.
Looking at maps for squiggly roads is always great. No matter where you are, unless you're places with no squiggly roads like Illinois or Kansas.
That's all. It's all true. But if you see one, that might be a fun way to go. Even the road when we were in Missouri, that was a pretty fun road. It was like a back road. I don't know that it was squiggly, but
driving around the lake was nice enough. But
yeah. I was thinking onto the lake. Yeah.
I would say and while you're Google mapping all those things and you see those different routes, you're on Google. I have Googled the phrase, some fun thing to see in Mayflower, Arkansas, because that was near where we were going to stop. And we wanted to not just, make it this drudge of a trip. I have Googled best place for lunch and that sort of thing. And the great thing about your idea of the distances too, is even as you start to modify your trip on there, you avoid rush hours or traffic problems like, oh, I don't want to be anywhere near that large city between 7 a.m. and 9 a.m. I'd rather come through there at 9:30 or do this. So I need a proper distraction or something to go see or a bourbon flight tasting, which will make traffic tolerable.
Oh, and also it's not that much. When you go to bourbon tasting. What is the site?
You can do different kinds of bourbon tastings, that's for sure.
You can go to the bar and do your own flight, and then I do not suggest you go anywhere.
No.
Road Obscura.
Yes.
What is that web?
Atlas Obscura.
Atlas Obscura. Thank you. So we did that.
Yes. We definitely need to
on
add that.
one.
That is a wonderful thing.
One of our legs, and we said, okay, well, what's on this? Because you just say, I'm going from this place to this place, and you kind of zoom in on a map, and you can just like click on things, or you can say, I only want to see ghost towns or cemeteries, or I don't know, like just random miscellaneous is like a category. So that was a fun. We saw at least a waterfall, and I brought us on the wrong road. At some point, we were supposed to go see some kind of random sculpture thing at the side of the road, which we missed.
I think that's where Jeff Stobbs gets a lot of his ideas for Lemons Rally stops is Atlas Obscura.
Yes.
And another thing that you can do by not obsessing, but using Google Maps regularly a bit before your trip is know where you have options too. Like at this point, yes, we could just go straight on this highway if we need to, or we could go south, or this is the spot where we have to decide. North route or southern route or whatever the case may be. Depends on the mood we're feeling, how fast things are going, make your decisions. But if you have them planned out ahead of time, you'll know, all right, I'm coming up on Springfield. And in Springfield is where I need to decide which way we're going to go.
And it provides you, having those kind of decision points provides you with flexibility. In 2009, my good buddy who we'd been stationed in Oklahoma together, and he had left his car there, and he was living in San Diego, and he actually deployed to the desert and sold his new car to save money, and he wanted his old car brought to him. And Vicky and I were driving out there for her little brother's wedding. And we did exactly that because we were taking Route 66, and we were going to drive as much not on the freeway as possible and try and get as much of Route 66. But the road from Oklahoma to California is very flat and very boring. But there was still some great stuff to see, and there were things that we didn't expect to be as much fun as it was. London Bridge over Lake Havasu was hilarious. It was great. There's like a whole shopping center and everything over there. We ended up spending more time there than we thought we would. And we just peeled it off of other places where we had decisions and round trips. And then when we came back out here in 2019, we had London Bridge as one of our destinations. And we even had a stop for an RV campground where we were going to spend the night. But after driving into headwinds all the way across New Mexico, Vicky said, honestly, let's just go straight to Las Vegas. I'm ready to just not be in this vehicle anymore. So we had that kind of flexibility.
On the
Absolutely.
same line, I was just going to interject. We did watch a couple YouTube videos for the places that you're going. So we were going to the Bourbon Trail. So we watched a couple, there's plenty of people that say, here's where I went. I went on these 5 days and these 5 days, and this one doesn't have free tastings. And this one you have to, like there's all kinds of different things that were helpful for us to narrow down which ones we were going to go to. At least we had already heard of a couple. Then we got into town and we said, here are the ones we were going to go to. And they said, great or not great or whatever. So, I think so. The YouTube kind of also got us excited for the trip. So, or at least got me excited for the trip. So watching, there's plenty of YouTubes out there. So I would check it out.
Vicky was lukewarm on the idea of going to Winslow, Arizona when we came out here, and I made her do it anyway. And then she realized why it was, because there's the flatbed Ford on the corner of standing on a corner in Winslow, Arizona. They have a flatbed Ford in front of a giant mural, and that's literally all this town has going for it. And we got there early in the morning, and by the time we left, there were lots of people starting to mill around and take her picture in front of the Eagles lined flatbed Ford in Winslow, Arizona.
Yep.
But she's seen videos. She's like, okay, this is actually going to be fun.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And there's lots of things I think like that if someone in your group thinks it's going to be fun and you have the time to do it, just go for it.
Yeah. And
That
stop
was
trying
one
to
of
be
our
cool.
rules.
Just go with the nerd stuff. Embrace your inner Clark Griswold.
Yep.
Go see the world's second largest ball of twine.
Yep.
It's Big Ben, Parliament.
Absolutely. Go see oh God, what they call it, the Sonic Center of the Universe, just outside of Tulsa, Oklahoma. What is some weird stuff that you guys have seen that you enjoyed?
We didn't stop there, but we watched a YouTube video about the road near the Bourbon Trail that was Uranus, and everything was
There's a
about
fudge factory there.
everything was, there was t-shirts, there's all kinds of signs. It's kind of one of those like get excited that this is coming and then it's gone kind of thing. So not quite south of the border, but like, there's lots of billboards saying this is coming. So we didn't stop, but it was in one of the YouTube videos and they had a great time. They thought it was hilarious. So it was one of those things like I'd seen it before and then I said, there it is. We could have stopped. We didn't stop though.
But now when you see that stuff on TV or videos, you're like,
Pretty much.
been there.
Yeah, that's what, yes. Or at least I know of it when I was like, oh yeah, we saw that on video. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So another thing when you're planning a route, figure out if you are going to have any absolute fixed places, points, times that you have to meet. For example, if you really want to stay at a certain place, what is their availability? Can you just roll up and get a place there, or do you need to do it ahead of time? So like for us, this was Chrissy wanted to stop at Lake of the Ozarks. So once we found a place, we booked it. It had to be for 2 nights. So that was a fixed point in time and space that everything else had to rotate around. So once you,
but it was the key was in the key box. So if we rolled up at midnight, it would have been fine. So it was not fine because it was a long day. But we didn't have to see anybody. I think that's where you were headed to. I'm sorry.
I would argue you're the St. Louis Arch. You knew that it's only open from this time to this time.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
But
I
that was
bought
a-
tickets as soon as
That
I
was
was
a more optional thing. Like we
pulling
didn't
up.
have to go to that. We could roll through, but it was like we'd figured out a couple of this. The only must do like stop was the one we booked ahead of time for this particular hotel, this
Yeah.
place that Chrissy wanted to go. After that, then we have other options, but we knew that we needed to be there by that night unless something
And it was a
terrible
little
went
bit
wrong.
more difficult because we were in a hotel, Airbnb type places that had owners that we had to talk to, or the one we had to go into the tavern and they're like, oh, you're the last people here. So sometimes they have windows that it's not okay to just roll up at midnight. I mean, I'm sure we could have called them and told them to leave the room open or something, but for the most part, there is somebody that's usually, if there is somebody that is expecting you at a certain hour, we had to communicate with them to say, hey, we're not going to be here till later because we're rolling through. Everybody's usually okay with that, but not every place it does. If it doesn't have a key box, you might have to talk to somebody, and
Yeah.
you might have to be communicative
And
of
if you're
what your
just
plans
staying in a
are.
Marriott, that doesn't matter. Like
Right.
you can roll into the Best
Sure.
Western or the Marriott whenever time you want, and it's fine. But if you're doing things a little more interesting, then yes, absolutely.
Well, and I'll
Must consider.
throw a poorly researched thing that happened to us a number of years ago when we were all leaving Barber and we knew we wanted to watch the Super Bowl.
Yes.
And if we'd have picked up a phone or Googled something, we would have known that our initial choice was not going to allow us to drink. And actually, thank goodness the girl told us the whole county was a dry county on Sundays.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I-
when we
y'all
started
know
to
it's a
see-
dry
Yeah.
county, right?
Well, hence the bar was completely empty, and we're like, why is this a thing?
Why is this bar
There's
empty with the
literally
Super Bowl?
no
I
one here.
understand.
Like, what?
I figured it was because there was, two Yankee teams and they just didn't care.
Well, when we rolled up to the Applebee's, it was darn full. So apparently everybody there was okay with
And it
watching
only
the Super
took us
Bowl.
5 bars to find that to finally just say the hell with it. We're going to
But,
Applebee's.
I mean,
which
I
turned
was
out to
sad.
be the right answer. We should have just
It-
gone straight to that Applebee's.
Which was never even on our list, but it made for a great story.
Yes.
So, if you have, we should. Can you? I want to go link to the show. Can you link it here? Can you link it right
I will.
there?
I will do my level best.
Okay,
To,
That was
because
pretty early
see if I can
show.
eat. I don't. That was so long ago. I don't.
That was
even
show
know
like
we have a
20
video
something.
show.
no, it wasn't
No.
that old.
Yeah. I think it was. Yeah.
That was
okay,
when we
if
had
it's-
our first group picture, and when Jeff came out of the drivers' meeting, he went, "Oh crap, people are listening to us."
Okay, all right. If it's
Yeah.
too early, then that's fine.
No,
But
no. We'll
uh,
link to the audio. It'll be great.
oh, the audio may not be great, but
Oh, it's
but the
terrible, I'm
the
sure.
show is
The story
amazing.
was good.
The story's amazing. I'm sorry. Okay,
It is.
but I digress. I digress.
It is
I
an
digress.
amazing story. Yes.
You probably should have Googled, I'm going here. Can I watch the Super Bowl and also have a beer at the same time? Yes.
Oh well.
That place we stopped at, I had stopped there before, but yeah,
Didn't have
never-
a beer.
Wasn't a Sunday or
it-
something.
Yeah, it was.
It was
kinda-
a Sunday only?
No,
Yeah. Yeah,
only on
dry
Sundays.
county on
That county is
Sundays.
dry, and that's a southern thing.
Yeah.
Well, that's even more Puritan than Pennsylvania and their liquor laws, which are really pretty bad.
You're
Yes.
in the Bible Belt there. So
You can drink every
A little
other day. Okay, but not Sunday. Okay,
Yeah.
anyway. Okay. Where were we here?
all right. Other things you need to consider in making your route. How much trust do you have in your car? There is a really big difference between going on a road trip in our Mercedes and in a Lemons Rally car.
An '84 Corvette.
Right. The Mercedes is not going to break. And in the event it does, it's okay. And it's probably something
And
you
it's-
can't fix.
Yes, it's probably not something
Right.
that I'm just gonna bring. I'm not gonna do roadside.
No,
but
and they'll
a-
give you a service loaner to get you back to wherever you're.
They
gonna
might
go.
do that too.
Exactly. But
No,
with
we'll bring
with
it to you when we're done.
with older cars, even if it's in good condition, if it's an older car, something could go wrong. Or if it's a car you've never even seen before, no clue what's going to go wrong.
We did that.
What is your need and consideration for contingencies? Like at some point, do you have to call it and say, this isn't going to make it the long route. We got to go the short route because every mile counts. Or who do we know along this road or along this general path who might have a garage and can help us?
We played that game.
Oh, totally. Spares. What do you need to bring spares, or do you need to pick up spares or tools for anything?
Where can you find a
Maybe.
Harbor Freight or a Northern Tool?
Yeah, exactly. Or even a Lowe's or Home Depot or whatever. Find something that might have that. So think about that is when you're doing your route planning, what contingencies might you need to have and what do you need to bring or what do you need to get along the some and those things might change along your route if something's going poorly. All right, well, now we need to Google Maps the Harbor Freight and find the parts, or start working playing iPhone foo and contacting the parts stores. Do you have? All right, I know you don't have it. Can you tell me who does? And you know the area better than I do.
Yes.
But there's definitely been times where we said, yeah, we can't go the long way. It doesn't have it in it. We got to go the most direct route home that we possibly can go.
Mm. And
Yep.
one of the interesting aspects of that too, that I didn't realize until I did it wrong was, in having faith in your car, how obscure is that car? The infamous Cadillac incident a few years ago, when too late I found out that it is a 1 year only alternator that takes 3 days to get anywhere from anywhere, kind of a deal.
Yeah. Or is it, an 88 Chevy pickup that every single part is pretty much at Walmart? Right. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Well, it's when that wheel bearing was going bad in the Porsche, we're like, all right, I need a press to replace it and take the whole thing apart. I could potentially get an entire like knuckle assembly, and that I can swap in with bolts. That's easier. Where can I get one of those in Kentucky on a Saturday? No, you're not. It just doesn't exist.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I felt better you doing the research to figure out what we had, what we could do. If we are not, if we can't do it, then we know we can't do it. And we're going to call it as soon as if it fails, it's going to fail and we're going to be done with it.
Mhm.
So yes.
Yep.
Incidentally, it was episode 22 was the barber wrap up and Super Bowl.
Wow.
I said in the 20s, I was close.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm
'cause
impressed.
20
you were.
was us talking about barber. Then we did a live episode from the RV. That one is on video.
That was a hot mess too. Yeah.
Don't listen to that one.
It's funny.
Or do.
No,
but-
don't.
Well,
Just don't.
I don't know if you can really hear Johan in the background of
Yeah.
that. Maybe you could.
or Hamza.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hamza you can probably hear. He's
Yes.
actually loud enough.
Okay. Anyway,
all right,
thank you for looking
next.
that up. I appreciate it.
Yep. Consideration in your route for your car's fuel range and capacity and potentially availability if it runs on some weird kind of corn juice or something. Like if I only got about 250 miles in a tank here, you probably need to stay a little closer to civilization
Yep.
than if you got a car that goes a long way.
And then plan for,
Yeah.
okay, I'm going to be going off road here. We're not going to
Mhm.
see a gas station for a really long time. Now's the time to like make sure you plan ahead, even if it's not empty.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm having these slight PTSD moments as you guys bring this up.
Oh no.
Yes. At the turn of the century, in 2000, in 2000 or 2001, March of 2001, I was driving from Omaha, Nebraska, Plattsmouth, Nebraska to Enid, Oklahoma, where I was transferring, and I had a Chevy short box pickup truck. It had a radius of about 130 miles because it got 8 miles to the gallon and had a giant, massive, powerful engine and a gas gauge that was really more of an estimate gauge. And it was my
Good fun.
first real experience with a toll road, because Kansas, you have to pay to get into and pay even more to get out of. And as I am driving down there, I am starting to realize that there's nothing on a toll road. There's not an exit every mile like there is on, I-75 and places like that. And I am starting to freak out a little bit. So I take the very next exit, and the nearest town is 7 miles into town. And I have to drive all the way in there. And, I am coasting down hills and, just trying to absolutely
box
get
truck.
every left, drop out of this tank, and I fill it up. And no sooner do I get back on the toll road and start my drive than 1 mile down the road was one of those center median McDonald's gas station. I'm like, oh man, this would have absolutely relieved my anxiety. And I ended up driving that toll road probably another 100 times after I was stationed in Oklahoma and go back to Omaha to visit Vicky's family. And quite quickly, I knew exactly where all of them were, and I knew where the exits were. And knowing that route a little bit also allowed me to game, it is 60 miles to the next exit. What is the likelihood there's law enforcement on this road? Probably pretty light. So I'm going to push it a little bit. So yeah, having an idea of knowing those things, I really wish I had done that, and it wasn't pre-internet, but it was dawn of the internet. You had MapQuest, and it always cracks me up that Progressive commercial about turning into your parents, where the guy says, if you printed out directions to get here, you're in the right place. Cause I had printed directions in the seat of my truck to get myself to Enid from Omaha. But there was nothing on your phone, none of those those kind of GPS deals. And I had no idea where, I did not plan any of my gas routes on the way there. And it did cause me a bit of panic.
That is a nice thing about modern technology is that
Wait.
where's a gas station? Oh, there's a gas station. Oh, and there's where it's ours. Oh, and that's the price. Maybe I'll wait. How bad is it? I don't know.
I have some tips later about this.
Yep.
Excellent.
Good. The next one. If you're grabbing by yourself, you do you. But if you're going with someone else, you need to understand their tolerance for road trips. Some people are road warriors. Let's go. Other people, if you are in the car for more than 2 hours without a stop, now it's a problem. So what is this person's tolerance for long, hard days, for obscurity, for sitting in an uncomfortable racing seat with no padding, for not having any heat, holding a cup of Dixie cup under the corner of the target top to catch the
when
drips
it's raining.
when it's raining in 40 degrees? Are those things acceptable or not? Or consider that, because if you go into it guns blazing, I'm going to do this great road trip, and your passenger is totally not into it, you're going to have a bad time.
Or like their philosophies. There are people that have some serious food aversions and they only eat the familiar. And then there are other people that, my favorite thing you guys did on that Porsche trip, no chain restaurants.
Chain restaurants, yes.
Yes. But I do remember doing, we tried to make it a tradition, but the Texas rally we did in the Jeep failed. But when I did the rally with the Cadillac Cimarron with Donnie, we came up with this dumb idea that we both thought was hilarious, is that we would eat in an Applebee's every night.
Oh no, that's a terrible game. Oh,
but we were both of the same mindset, and that's probably a
Okay.
discussion you should have with your road
Fine.
trip partner beforehand.
Oh, yeah, that is correct.
And that's why there's a string of arsons in that area at that time. Oh no. Hopefully they don't catch on.
Yes.
All right. Now you need some supplies.
Bring
You need some supplies. We already talked about tools and things. We talked about that. Chrissy can tell us more about some other kinds of supplies that you definitely need to bring to make the trip go well.
You want me to do that? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, snacks. I love snacks. I start packing a snack bag like the week before our trip. I save little paper bags and they become snack bags. I have some go-tos. I have food problems, so I have to have different snacks. We have a lot of the same snacks, but I have to be more picky. And sometimes we agree that we're going to be in the car, we'll eat breakfast, we're going to have no lunch and go for dinner. Actually, a lot of the Porsche trip, that's what we did. Just because it's easier to not stop for lunch, and knowing that we're going to have a dinner that's going to be somewhere fun, more fun than sitting down. And then we've already made it to our destination. And of course, if we don't make it our destination, then we still have no food, but then you have snacks. So I highly recommend snacks. I usually go with Kind bars. We have these meat sticks that are like bacon. Don't even know where you buy them in the real world. I get them from a mail service. So,
is there a website for this mail service? Bacon sticks. I mean, come on.
Bacon sticks. Yes. They might even be on Amazon. I'll see if I can find if you can find them all over places. Bacon sticks. So some kind of protein, some kind of bar. I like fruit leather and things that don't necessarily start to melt if it's kind of hot, or if you get out of the car and you leave it there. So something that doesn't melt is great. I also got crafty about a drink cooler. So on the Porsche trip, we couldn't bring much. I also didn't know how big the frunk and trunk were going to be. So I had what is that kind of bag? Help me.
It was like bubble wrap, like a reflective bubble wrap insulated bag.
Oh, like
Insulated
the one you
bag.
take to a grocery store if you've got a long trip home.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
one was even thinner. This was a box. Yeah, I got some food, and this one came in and with an ice pack in it. So it's not great quality, but it lays flat. So I brought it in my carry-on, and it took up no room, and it ended up doing a pretty good job of keeping some drinks cold in the frunk. The frunk does a very good job of keeping things cold. So making these plans ahead of time make the trip so much better. So let's see, what other snacks do we have? Any kind of nuts that you eat. So I usually make a thing of almonds and cashews and craisins, and and that's usually a good snack thing.
I like
so
jerky as a road trip food.
Jerky
Not
is a
like
great
Slim
road
Jims.
trip food.
That shouldn't count as jerky. That's not. But like good jerky. 'Cause
you
it-
also have to make sure that your co-pilot, if you have one, likes the smell of jerky.
they'll get used to it.
I don't.
Because especially out here, there's a lot of great places you can go for jerky.
Like
And-
Buc-ee's.
Yeah, I would say the number of people that have not experienced the absolute wonder that is a Buc-ee's is getting smaller and
Right?
smaller. But
'Cause it's
Buc-ee's has a wall of jerky.
right?
And then a whole
Oh.
case too.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Yes.
I was just thinking about smelly snacks. So Chris hates the idea of having a banana. And I had a banana in the car because then you have peel and I can't do anything with it. So I have to guarantee that I have one some way or throw it out the window.
A Ziploc bag.
Yes, but then it still smells and it makes things smell. And I was like,
Chrissy waits till someone's chasing us before throwing the banana peel out the window.
I
behind
did
us.
See,
that.
that's just planning ahead. She has
I-
already got a
I
defensive
did
plan
that.
against the giant gorilla in
And
the
we
go-kart.
watched him.
She's
Right.
We
doing
watched
that
him
for
spin
you,
out.
man.
You are right.
Yeah.
Yes,
Chris-
I like snacks.
Also, bring some other things that are going to help you along the way. Like if you have an iPad that has cell service, bring that because that's great.
I didn't get
for.
there yet. Tips on route mapping. Down,
Oh,
down,
well,
down.
I'm saying that this is supplies to bring.
Oh,
If you have the room for a small like blanket that can be rolled up into a little pillow, that kind of thing, that can be great for passengers too. But then the usual stuff like you need sunglasses and radar detector if you have one, or phone mount, phone
bring a
cord,
whole
all
new
that stuff.
radio. If you just decide that you want a new radio in that radio, just bring the whole radio.
Hey, that worked great.
It
We got the
did.
CarPlay installed. It was much nicer to have after the fact, and then it's in.
was. I know.
We got to do it anyway. So
I going back to the snacks thing, and I've learned this the hard way, traveling back in the day, is I would load up on caffeine and sugar, and then usually in the middle of nowhere have a massive crash, and I'm doing the fat, puppy after
rocking
after
out.
eating. Yeah. And so, now you've got the
Headbanging,
windows down and
yeah.
the sunroof open and you're trying just not to die. So I
Mm.
do not, when I'm on a road trip, I do not like very, very, especially refined and processed sugar, because when it goes, it goes. Now I will,
so no beaver nuggets.
yeah.
Mm.
Oh God. I am a proud Red Bull or sugar-free Red Bull addict, but I do have to monitor my caffeine intake so that I also, the same deal, I don't crash. That's whenever I show up at a racetrack and everybody's like, how did you drive here all night? And I almost have an alarm on my phone of, no, you can't have another caffeinated drink until this
I do-
time.
I do this
Because
too.
I'm not
yes.
trying to get myself all wired up, and that's just knowing my own body's rhythm. And I don't like heavy carbs unless I am about to go to sleep. I don't like burgers. I don't even like a really good place. Or if I'm going to a place that is known for something, a Mexican restaurant or a burger place or a steak restaurant, of course, the infamous Big Tex in Amarillo. I make sure that we are going to be sleeping or, shortly thereafter that, because just a heavy load on my stomach, I was going to get, sleepy, which incidentally, the whole Big Tex thing in Amarillo, Texas, where if you eat the giant 72-ounce steak and everything, you don't have to do that. You can go there and just get a regular steak, and it's very reasonable priced and quite good. And even Vicky was excited about that little tourist trap. when we drove after we stopped at the Cadillac Ranch. And
I like that these are in your supplies to bring. So I'm picturing you eating this like extra large burger on the road with, like trying to keep it all in the box and, like eating a 72-ounce steak while driving.
The
That's what
old
we're talking
96er. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're talking
I,
about
yeah.
bar snacks, and you're going
No,
down
and I'm
the.
sorry, those are things that I
No, it's
aggressively avoid. And so yes, I am also a big fan of snacks, and I do would you call it fruit
Leather?
Fruit leather? Yes.
Yeah.
I know, like
Isn't that what they're called?
your snotty grocery store, Trader Joe's or whatever, they always have like these chili covered mangoes that are really good.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
bought some of them
Oh.
after you said that. They're very good. I think I got them
Yeah.
on Amazon actually. I like them.
Yeah.
Yeah, fruit leather. No, that's also Trader Joe's type thing, but they're just like fruit that's just packaged, thinned, and pretty sweet and tasty, and
And
it
it's a
fills you
natural
enough.
sugar, so it doesn't amp you
Yeah.
up as much.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you're
yeah,
not going to
no.
crash like that. That's a good one. So I do the same thing. I do, and you should understand how various foods are going to affect you. And sometimes you can use that to a positive effect. If you're on a bonsai run and you've got to be someplace by a certain time and you're switching off driving duties, eat that carb laden, heavy, burger and fries and whatever, so that you pass out in the passenger seat, so that when the primary driver is tired and you're ready to
Okay.
take over, now you're up and you're awake. So goes all the way back to Chris's point
All right.
about knowing what you've got to do, knowing how you're going to do it. Yeah.
Yep.
Snacks. Don't forget your
Snacks
snacks.
are good.
Yes.
Agreed. And having a supply of beverages, even cold, is nice no matter what. Yeah.
Mhm.
Little tiny coolers, find a way.
And don't underestimate the need for water. Even if you think you're going to have to pee
Oh,
too much,
yes.
you need to stay hydrated.
But you can pace yourself pretty well.
Yeah.
Enough.
Yeah. If you're changing altitudes though, keep an eye on that one. Yeah. I like this one, the available space for people
Talk
and
about it.
stuff.
Yeah.
And the only reason I say that is this weekend at the Cars and Coffee, there's a local guy here, very into the car community, Solomon, and he's got a vintage Porsche, and that is just vintage car rallies are him and his wife. They absolutely love them. And he's looking to get something besides his 911. And he was asking about various cars, and most of the rallies, they have a year cutoff, and just under that year cutoff is an NSX. And he loves the idea of an NSX. He's like, oh yeah, that'd be great, because it'd be reliable and I don't have to worry about it breaking down. I can find parts for it and also other kind of stuff. He's like, do those things have lots of room to store luggage? No, none at all. Absolutely not. My good friends have an NSX, and they have to map out every single item that they bring with them when they take it on a road trip anywhere. And he's, oh, well then that's out. So
Yeah, it's not big at
It's
all.
a little
Although,
bit more. It's a little more than an NA or NB Miata, but
but
that's
just a
only
trunk.
just a
So
little.
I
Yeah.
feel like the frunk has made me like a Boxster believer, because I'm like, I could fit everything in here now. It's great.
yeah. 911s have an even bigger front. It's just bizarre.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
The 993 has a surprising amount of room. You can fold down the rear seats. I had a set of wheels in there and some
What?
stuff that I was bringing to Buttonwillow for a race. It was fantastic. Loved it.
I had no idea. How I know.
Well,
Frunks for the win.
Consumer advice: we know that a Moto Compacto will not fit in the front of a Boxster, but will fit in the trunk. So,
And apparently
solid
fits
consumer advice.
in the NSX, but it's not here, so we
Right.
don't know that yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I want to talk about how to. So I am a very good on the spot router for as a passenger. So we'll be going somewhere, and I will check 3 different sites. I will check. I usually have an iPad and a phone going. Usually have a phone with Waze, but I'm checking all of the next larger sections of road to see if we need to take any detours, and then try to make that assessment with my driver's permission, or I give him the most information that he might need. But having multiple items to look that up. So if you have two iPhones, we keep one plugged in with some kind of entertainment, which I'll talk about in a second. But also checking Google Maps. We've now decided we like Google Maps more than Apple Maps. I just switched over to that. Plus running ways.
Ooh, that is a polarizing statement.
I wasn't getting the information from Apple Maps. I would open it. I was using both, but I was opening it and it wasn't showing. I'd have to make sure that it was showing the driving directions that had the traffic on it, because it wasn't always showing that. And I would zoom in and all of a sudden be like, oh, there's an accident there. Like, well, why didn't you show me that when I just looked? But I had to like zoom all the way in and then I zoomed out and then I was like, I'm sitting in the traffic. Why aren't you showing on the map? So I'm done with Apple Maps. I'm on to Google Maps now. So yeah, and then also the Google Maps, as Chris mentioned, it has these little things that like pop up and said, hey, do you want to go to this orchard? And I'm like, no, but now I know there's an orchard there, so that's nice. So yeah, I am, yes, now on Google Maps, but I think it's worth double checking before you get to that destination. So when we went up to the Cape, we were double checking what it looks like on the next couple roads. And as we get closer to New York, and then I'm looking at what Connecticut looks like right now, knowing that it's going to change and it's probably going to be a little less on some of the roads, but at least having an idea, because you're like, oh, if that road is totally closed, then I can make my assessment and make my plans a little bit better. So I call myself a navigator.
Ooh, navigator. That's fun. I like that phrase.
Because I do the best with the information that I have, and I will often talk it through, and I will say, this is what I know, but it could be different by the time I get there.
Mm-hmm. You reserve the right to have made the wrong choice, but you're trying your best.
Right.
A well-informed bad decision.
Yeah. But now that everybody has hand computers, you might as well use them, because but doing the double checks while I'm on the road, and for the very few times that I've driven by myself, I find myself wishing that I think I text Chris with the text to talk from the car and just be like, can you check the roads in front of me? Because I feel like I'm missing information of what is happening ahead of me to know if there's something that I should be avoiding.
Yep.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
On to entertainment. How to keep your attention for a freaking long time. We, for really long trips, we did audiobook. So for the Porsche trip, we did an audiobook. The trick is that you have to commit to something for 6, 8, 24 hours, depending on how long an audiobook is. So every once in a while, I've made a bad choice. There's a lot of pressure on finding a book that both of us like, that is engaging enough. But if you find something that's engaging enough and that you both enjoy it, it really does wipe the miles away. I really found that, because you're more interested, your brain's thinking about you're driving or doing whatever you need to do in the car, but you're also thinking about this story. So and audiobooks are good for bigger chunks of time. Podcasts, you have to switch through them and then you have to switch topics, and it's fine, but audiobooks are one of those things, like if you're going on a road trip, commit.
When Vicky and I were still dating, we drove back to Atlanta, and she was so scared that we would get bored and hate each other in the car trip. She committed to an audiobook on cassette. It was a giant plastic container, and you had to go through the cassettes on there. And I still remember it was called Nightshade, and it was like a bubblegum, psychological paranormal thriller. But we listened to that book all the way down to Atlanta, and you can you talk, audiobooks are great. There are podcasts out there that are serialized.
Yeah.
That's meant for also listening.
How about just Serial? Just if you haven't done Serial, you got to do it.
Yeah. There you go.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
No Fruit Loops. No Fruit Loops. No. SERIL. Yes. So, scavenger hunt. So we were on this trip, and on the first day I said, we need to come up with a scavenger hunt. So we thought about all of the things that we might see. So we knew that we were going to go through some cities. We knew that we were going to go do a lot of highway, but we would be able to see a whole lot of farms from highways. So we kind of come up with, and we knew we were going to be on a lot of back roads. We knew that we were going to see a whole lot of I don't know how to say this in a nice
Animals.
way. Animals, but
Agriculture.
rural housing that has a lot of stuff in their yards and or animals. Yes. And we had a
Rural
great
with
time.
extra R's in the middle. You guys know.
Thank you. I knew I could count on you for
Yeah.
coming up with how to explain this nicely. We found a bunch of them. There's a bunch of them that we thought we would see. We didn't, because that's what's fun about scavenger hunt. But it's fun when you both make it, because it's not pulling it out of a book or Google it. And then you say, okay, well, are you actually going to see a cow? We saw a lot of sculptures of animals. That was kind of the random one of like, yeah, you just see like the extra large cow or the horse that's painted on the side of the road kind of thing. Not on the side of the road, but like in some towns and that kind of thing. We saw a bunch of them. Abandoned racetrack, abandoned amusement parks.
Park.
You saw 2 or 3 of those.
Ooh.
Those are always good.
Yeah, they're always fun.
But we
One of them
never
was
saw
a major one.
a person riding a horse, which I
No.
thought, we're in Oklahoma and Kentucky. Like, how are we not going to see someone riding a horse?
And we were in Woodford Reserve it's in the middle of a horse ranch that was just like, go this way to the training barns and this way to like, it was a really miserable day that we went, but how is nobody's riding a horse?
That's awesome.
No,
I see
somebody
people
riding a bike.
horses once a week
Right?
on my way to work.
You're
Right.
in Las Vegas.
In Las Vegas.
Oh, yes. So coming up with the things that you think you're going to see, we saw a waterfall. Yeah.
You have to have some stretch things on there. Totally need some stretch things. Can't just be simple things.
That's
No.
a great one.
But it made us look in people's yards, and we were looking for different things like loose animals. So agriculture that is like crossing the road or is in a one
saw
was
just
in
a horse standing in
a
someone's front
horse
yard.
standing
No
in a front
fence.
yard, and
No
it
fence,
might have
just
well
standing
it
there.
could have had just like a piece of wire around it or something, but literally I didn't see it when we drove by, and I was like, that horse was just standing in the yard. Maybe it was tied up, but it didn't look like it. So
Oh, he's just
Or
a
chickens
well-trained
and,
horse.
Yeah,
it could
apparently.
be. Yes, but it made us talk about it and made us look for things. So that's what made the timing. And of course, this is no commitment, because if you're listening to the audiobook, but you see an eagle, which we saw too, and that was on our list. So we were like, oh, there's an eagle, and then you're still doing whatever you're doing. So you're still driving, you're still listening to the audiobook. So it's a fun thing that doesn't take any commitment.
That's great. What about what's your variation on the car search?
Well, I mean, there's a bunch of different way you can do. I used to play the find different cars, the alphabetical different car makes and models. They're difficult for advanced people, I suppose. Or not for kids or whatever. Well, there's an old Babe rally that had looking for pink cars. Or like alphabet game, I guess is the other
Collect
thing
all
that I
the
was thinking of.
license plates.
Yeah.
game,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
that
All
kind
the
of
license
stuff.
plates. Like alphabet games on anything any letters that you see. They do take up time. These are the kind of the good things for if you're getting tired, and especially if your cohort is still awake, and this is something that you can both do together. It'll get your mind thinking about something different. So sometimes the audiobook or the podcast gets not old, but is making it so that it's not keeping your attention as much to keep you awake. So some kind of active game is more fun.
That's great. In the Days Before podcast, and I had read this I read it in the 80s about someone taking a road trip, and they said they had a rule that when they were doing a road trip, they would hit the search button on their stereo once. And wherever it landed is where it landed.
Oh no.
And you would get some interesting rural, you would really start getting a flavor for the area you were in. And one time I was doing that in the times when I used to drive back and forth from Georgia to Nebraska. And I came across this wonderful thing, and it used to be all over the country. And I don't know if it's there anymore, because I haven't listened to terrestrial radio in decades. But you would get on the AM station or sometimes the FM station, and you could find the local, basically it was the radio buy sell trade.
Yeah,
And
the
they were
classic.
like,
Oh,
they would,
Yeah.
I've got a 1972 Chevrolet pickup. It runs good. It's got the V8 engine. It's got automatic transmission, and it's got a little bit of rust. I just put tires on it last year, and I'm looking to get $4,200, or I will trade it for a tractor with a power takeoff.
Okay,
or
now
a-
I would
or a
listen
pair
to
of hunting dogs. And
Yeah.
that used to
Totally
just
heard that
entertain
same
Ah,
guy, I think.
I
Yeah.
would
Yeah.
listen to I would listen to
Forever.
that. Okay.
Yep.
I was thinking of there's some things out there that you're like, oh, well, we were in before we got the new radio, we were having a problem with the car stereo that was in there. And I think we did a couple searches, and I think there were like 3 or 4 stations, and that's it. And we were like, when you do the search and you're like, and it keeps going, the numbers keep going up, and then you're like, you got one, and then you're like, no, I don't want that one, and then you're like,
it's like,
and it does it again.
Goes back around, and that's
Another
all it
Jesus
is. And
station.
yes, there's a
that's-
lot of you're going to hell. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, we definitely played that game at least once this time and did not listen to whatever was on there.
I've again, years ago, I've forgotten that I do that, and I hit like search, and I'm halfway across, Illinois, and I'm just driving, and then all of a sudden it catches a station and starts yapping, and I'm like, oh God, I forgot I did that. I was in the zone.
Oh, I like
Yeah.
the buy sell trade though. That would be
that was great. I've
that
heard
would
that too. It's like
that
And
would be a good one.
I would imagine Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist, and it's killed all that. But if you could find one, that's a fun one. I picked this up from my aunt and uncle years ago, and Vicky and I will do this one. We call it the cow game, especially if you're driving through the country. And whatever side of the car you're on, you're looking for cows. And every time you pass them, you have to count them. You have to count them out loud. And if there's like
Oh.
1,000 cows driving through Texas, and you only get to count like 300 before they get out of sight, sorry, that's all you get. You get the ones you count. And you're trying to keep a tally of who's got the most cows before your next stop. But if you pass a cemetery on your side, your cows reset to 0.
mm,
So the problem is that if it's just you and your cohort in a Boxster, it's not really fair for the driver to be counting cows.
I adamantly disagree, because if it's me and Vicky, I'm always driving. Yeah.
Yes, but you're supposed to be
hold the wheel, I have
driving.
hold the wheel, I have to count cows.
No, but I have to count my cows.
I just went,
Well, they're
one,
on different
two,
sides of the
three,
road.
4,
They're-
I
5.
know.
Crap, I only got 5 of them, but yeah.
But
Yeah.
and there are plenty of places especially on the highway, where we pass both sides have cows. So
Oh yeah.
True.
When we drove to
Yes.
San Diego, we're going through the panhandle of Texas, and there are, no kidding, like the sorting places where they're getting them all
Oh,
ready for auction,
yeah.
all that kind of stuff. And you would get up to 1,000 cows, and then you'd pass a family cemetery and be like, oh,
I
Dang it.
like that game. That's fun. I didn't know anything about this
Oh.
cemetery.
I feel like we should, yeah. Wow, this has been a good one. We're are you done with this one, or did I jump in on your?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. I'm good.
And I'm stealing this from you guys, and I've had it. I've just never verbalized this, but just some thoughts and ideas to make these trips more fun. If you're business picking up a car, you got to be someplace. But I do love the no chain restaurants. I
Or
really do
hotels.
aggressively try to avoid, with a handful of exceptions. Before I moved out here, if I was anywhere near an In-N-Out burger, I was stopping at an In-N-Out burger. So
yeah.
like a regional
Yeah.
treat that you can't get
Sure.
back
Yes.
home. Sheets.
And
know-
there was at least one place that was, I think it was like
Buc-ee's.
right.
Buc-ee's,
Well,
absolutely.
or that this is a place that has multiple chains, but it's still a localized chain. I feel like
Right.
that's
Like,
okay.
when
That-
you guys went to California, you guys went to the In-N-Out burger when you ran Laguna Seca.
we always do. Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
yeah. So but I do love that idea. And then I put this down. You'd said scavenger hunt, the bingo card kind of a deal. That's, do you guys make it up, or do you get like suggestions from the interwebs?
It's,
You know,
I think it's more fun if you make it up, but you can look for suggestions as part of making it up. But give
The
it a shot
scavenger hunt,
first.
we came up with 19 so easily, and we're like, that's probably enough. Because then you like forget what you put on, not forget, but you're just like, oh yeah, have we seen one of those things? But all of these were enough that we were thinking of them and really thought that we had a chance to get some of them. So a bingo card makes it so that, again, the driver has to be looking at their bingo card and or their other teammate plays for them.
and
But
we'll have a link in our show notes where we get our free bingo card app. So that way you can have it on your phone. You're not having to mark while you're driving along.
If you
on
click
this
on the
one.
bingo card, shouldn't you be able to
That's a
just
good point. Yeah,
say
you click on
make
our
my
bingo card. There should be a
Mhm.
make your own.
make your own? Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, there you go. And
They're
I'm
fun to do
gonna.
for any kind of get together with your friends. Like we used to do have a great time with them going to Atlantic City.
Oh, yes.
Bingo.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Oh, it was
That's a
so
great one.
good. Yeah.
Yes. And I'll throw this one out there. While we're talking about you're trying to get a feel and a flavor for the area, tourist traps can really be some good campy fun. And I'm gonna throw this one like the National Route 66 and Transportation Museum in like Ely, Oklahoma. We ended up spending 2 hours there because they have the entire thing set up like a small town. And and you start at one point in history and then it gets up to the 50s by the time you get to the other side of the town. And they had little short films you could sit in and watch, the people driving down Route 66 as they're building it. It was goofier than it should have been, and I enjoyed it more than it should have been. Of course, the Cadillac Ranch. It's a blatant tourist trap built by a person of a questionable reputation, but it's a neat idea that they buried a bunch of Cadillacs. There's Carhenge in Nebraska. I'm just trying to you remember some of this other kind of stuff. The infamous corn maze in South Dakota that you've seen on 1,000 bumper stickers. And so some of these like ridiculous tourist areas, Chrissy, you mentioned south of the border. I was growing up in South Carolina. We would always go to Myrtle Beach for the summer and I would see those, and we never went to south of the border. And I was in North Carolina for training one time, and I finally just rented a car and drove to south of the border. It's just a big truck stop. It was ridiculous, but I'd always wanted to go to south of the border since I was like 8 years old. And
How was it?
It was exactly the tourist trap you expected to be. And,
Okay.
a bunch of t-shirts and a giant sombrero on top of a tower that you could climb and go and look up. And
There's a lot more to it now. It is like a compound now.
yeah. Well, and I got there late and it was most of the stuff was closed. I know they had like some rides for a while. And then there's another awful one right as you get into Colorado from Kansas. And it's supposedly a tower where they say you can see 7 states. One of these times I'm going to test it, but I don't mathematically see how you can see more than 4 states from this tower. But, and you're embracing just the absolute camp involved in that. And just, don't be the snotty city person. Just enjoy the silliness of it. Marfa, Texas is full of these things. And it's just some great, hilarious, fun things that you can do. So, while you're trying to get like the feel of the original, something old and campy will actually give you a flavor for the area you're driving to, and can be a fun thing, especially if it's something that it's dying and it's not going to be there. And, you're going to lose some of that, on the, in a couple of years, and you should enjoy it while you can. Did we just do a main topic? Are we completely wrapped up on this one? Anything?
I
think
think
that's it.
so.
Just try to make it fun. But
Always. Even
that's
if you're
why
in a
having-
rush, there's things you could do. You don't have to do all of this, but yeah, just, driving is about traveling and experience.
Have reasonable expectations.
Yeah.
Don't go crazy with it.
Reasonable
meet them.
expectations.
Yes. Yeah.
And stop at Wall Drug when you go by. Get the ice water.
Yes. Wall Drug. That's the one. The corn maze and the Wall Drug.
What?
Oh,
What is
yeah.
that?
So it's like south of the border, but it's in the middle of South Dakota.
yes.
Okay.
Anyone that has ever driven to Sturgis or the Black Hills, there's like, only 300 more miles to Wall Drug, 200 more miles to Wall Drug, 100 more miles. This is Wall Drug. This is it. This is 100% absolutely it.
There's
Yes.
nothing else when you're driving across South Dakota at all. So
Oh,
you actually
okay.
become interested. It's like am I getting close enough to Wall Drug now? Like, 'cause there's nothing else to do because you're in it's South Dakota.
Oh,
It's
okay.
Yeah. And then there's like the world's largest beaver, and they deliberately like block it from view. You can't see it from the freeway. They want you to come in their little cheesy park
I'm
area.
sure they do.
Usually people
There's
don't show beaver for free. So
Oh, do we have a just the tip?
You know what? I've been trying to come up with something that's interesting.
I've got it on the spot.
Go ahead. Nope, you go.
But if you feel okay,
Nope.
on the spot, tourist trap in the United States you want to see.
I want to see.
that I haven't seen already.
Yes, that you have not seen, that you're like, I know it's silly. I want to go see
Does
this
Bucky's count?
thing. No, I mean, Bucky's, absolutely. Go see a Bucky's. There's a great one. They find somebody did their market research, and when they built one of the first ones in the South, they built it right down the street from Barber Motorsports Park.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, there's a Bucky's there now.
Huh. That's recent though, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. That's
My
odd.
parents took an hour trip a couple of months ago to go drive to see the Bucky's in North Georgia. My dad was actually a little impressed.
Wow. Is it one of those? I mean, they're usually big, but there was one of them that we saw that was actually they think they were just building it. Where were we? Oh, a Lehigh. Close here, right? I think. We were on
Yep.
our way to somewhere that had it was huge. Like it wasn't open yet because they were opening and they had
Oh, it was not a Bucky's. It was a ripoff of Bucky's, but it's an
Oh.
enormous gas station. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I'm not coming up with anything witty. Whatever, some other animal that you can just call like, yes. I don't think I know enough tourist traps. I'm trying to think of, and Chris hates tourist traps, so I can't imagine that,
Or not even tourist, state park, some sort of,
oh, state
Half Dome in
parks.
Yosemite, or the geyser or something. Old Faithful. That's what
That geyser.
Mm,
that one. Yes.
Um, yeah. I'm gonna say Mount Rushmore.
Ooh. Yes.
It's the kind of thing you go there, you stop, you look, I say, okay, yep, sounds good.
Yeah, I like
then you
that
leave.
one.
It's worth it. All the little towns down there, like, lead as you climb up to Mount Rushmore, they're just wall to wall, old West tourist towns, saloons and all this other kind of stuff. And especially during the summer, they're just overrun with tourists and tourist helpers. And then you get to the state park, and it is a proper national state park. It is conservative, it's reserved, it's beautiful. There's many places to see. You can do a bunch of hiking on there. Yes, you should absolutely go see Mount Rushmore. It's beautiful.
Either that or Roswell, New Mexico, just because I'm sure it's just so campy ridiculous that would be funny.
And there's the very large array just outside of Roswell, New Mexico, that you'd probably dig as well, with all the dishes that broadcast signals into space and are listening to see if the aliens ever say hi to us.
The SETI stuff. Yeah.
Yes. Mhm.
Okay. Great.
Yep. Did you have one?
Yes, but what's yours? Are you
Buc-ee's.
just Bucky? Okay, the Bucky's. All right. So this is somewhat embarrassing, but as a person that grew up in the South, and these are everywhere, I have still never seen Rock City. And the infamous, there were barns everywhere painted, and I still see them if I go back home and I'm driving back near the South. It's these barns, and it was like their advertising campaign was just every barn anywhere near a freeway. They would paint Sea Rock City on there, and they even have like mailboxes that people made to, look like small houses that say Sea Rock City, but you get up there and you can see the 7 mountains, and it's all up at Lookout Mountain and all of this. And all the times I've driven through, I've never stopped. And now I live out on the West Coast, and I keep forgetting that I need to see Rock City. But there's like one of the original advertisements back in the day
I
of
have
how they
never
got all this.
Heard of this? I don't.
So yeah,
think.
it was
It's
all
in
over.
Georgia.
Yeah, all over my youth, and never went.
Okay. Sea Rock City.
Go
Sea
see
Rock
Rock City.
Chew mail pouch tobacco. That's what we have here on all a bunch of old barns still say that.
Yeah.
So
RC
that's
Cola.
our
Yeah. Is
equivalent.
what the old barns all say, back home.
That was a good one.
Sounds great.
Yes. And so what did we miss? What's your favorite road trip trick? What's the
Totally.
thing you do to make your car last or make it fun? Or what's your favorite tourist trap or not tourist trap, or the greatest hidden thing that if we're driving through your state, we need to go see? You should let us know. Put it in the comments or email us or do one of those things. Any one of those methods that Chris is about to go through here in just a few minutes.
Yeah. They're the same as last time. and next time. So thanks for downloading us, everybody. We hope you enjoyed this week's edition of Everyone Racers. Also hope you'll join us in the world of driving, racing, and building, because everyone can be a road tripper, even you. If you enjoyed the podcast, subscribe. It's free. Go to iTunes, give us a 5-star rating. Then you can binge listen on your next road trip. Or don't. Especially not the early stuff. That's bad. So even if you hate us, 5 stars and tell us why. Questions or show ideas, thoughts on your favorite road trip spots or terrible tourist trap, tell us about it. Actually, we'll share those. That'll help other people in their road trips. Where's a cool place to stop, right? So leave a comment on Facebook or Everyone Racers or everyone.racers@gmail.com. Text mental, roadside junk, 484-243.
Oh, that's a whole new category. Your
0455.
roadside junk. Yes.
Right? Junk on the
Pictures of your
roadside.
roadside junk. Love it.
So send us some stuff, say hello, tell us about your road trips. It's going to be fun. So thanks again. And until next week, keep the shiny side up. Unless you've been driving through the Midwest in the winter when your car is just a salt lick, and then just keep the wheels down and out of the ditch.